What's going on, guys? It's Brian here with Texas Gun Experience. We just got back from Mos Eisley and we brought with us the Springfield Hellion. Now, what is this? This is a full 16-inch rifle, but it's a bullpup. Now, this has actually been around for quite some time, and it's not necessarily a new gun, even though it's new to the US market. So, as you've probably seen, these have been floating around for a little bit under the HS Products, which is a Croatian company, but this was called the VHS2, but this ain't no Betamax. This thing is pretty high tech. So Springfield is the importer for this, and fortunately we actually get to see these stateside, and it's a really neat offering for another space gun, another bullpup in the US market. But it's not just, I don't think, just more kind of noise and just something flashy out there. There's a lot of cool features to this that could actually make this a good kind of everyday gun, or kind of a battle rifle, whatever you may be, if you're into bullpups. Or maybe this is a good kind of first step into the bullpup market. But let's go kind of front to back of the Hellion here and kind of go over some impressions, having it down on the range in front of us here, and just kind of go over what they did and some things that we think about it. So first off, this does come with just a 4-prong flash hider. Nothing really special about it. The flash hider does work, but we did immediately change that to a just a dead air chemo muzzle device here, because we do want to run this suppressed. The stock flash hider does have a little ping to it, but it does work at mitigating that flash and helping suppress it. So new adapter on there. This is a full 16-inch barrel, meaning the barrel actually runs almost the whole length of this firearm. So this is a rifle. It's not a pistol. It's not a short-barreled rifle. Chambered in 5.56. It is a 1-in-7 twist as well. So this is good, kind of intermediate for any of those different bullet weights you have there. Because we want to run this suppressed, and we really want to kind of test this out, this is a adjustable gas system on this. Now this is a piston design as well too, so it's not running full gas to send the bolt back here. It is actually running a short stroke piston up front. So the piston is adjustable, and there's 2 settings on it, and it's super easy to do. They just have a little spring-loaded detent knob in the front here. Just push that in and turn. And there's 2 gas settings. There's N for normal and S for suppressed. So really easy to do, whether we had just a gloved hand on, because this can get a little warm after you're shooting. But you throw the can on, throw it to that suppressed setting, and it works quite well. The feeling is quite noticeable as well too. And I'll talk a little bit more about shooting the suppressed as far as the shooter goes and gas goes, because when we get back to the back side of the gun, it's important to kind of talk about the ejection ports and all that, because sometimes shooting bullpups is a little rough when you put a suppressor on them. But before we get there, so what I really kind of dig about this rifle is the aesthetics of it. Some people are going to love it, some people are going to hate it. Is it from Halo? Is it from Aliens? Like, I mean, the bullpup isn't anything new. They've been around since the 70s. This gun's in some way, shape or form, has been around for over a decade as well. To me, it kind of looks like that French FAMAS. Has the kind of the carry handle up here. It has some cool looks to it. I really like the looks of it. But I do like some of the attention to detail they have on this as well too. So everything on this is completely ambidextrous. So there is a sling swivel on both sides here at the front of the gun. This does swivel as well too. So if you have just a clip you can clip onto there, there's also a QD point in the front of the handguard as well. The handguard is M-LOK, and you do have 9 spots for M-LOK there. It's not a huge handguard. I'm sure there's going to be some aftermarket options out there that take it a little bit further to get you a little bit more rail space. But for what we were doing, completely fine. You're able to get a good purchase on it. Eventually, we'll probably throw a light and some extra things on here. But as far as the actual shape and everything of the handguard, I actually really like it. It's a slim profile, and the overall rifle itself is pretty slim too, so it makes maneuvering it really easy. The top rail here is a kind of a full-length Picatinny rail, and they do have really nice backup sights. So there's a little button on the front and back here. You just push that and these sights pop up. They are spring-loaded. You do have a covered peep sight here and kind of a almost like a diopter sight in the rear. So there's there's 5 different little holes that you can look through depending on the distance. So these are really nice, definitely nice backup sights. A lot of guns nowadays aren't shipped with sights on them, so having that is pretty nice. They stow really easy, really cleanly, and they're all metal too, so no plastic on it. Down to the charging handle. So again, keeping with that ambidextrous theme, this is very similar to the HK G36 that's out there. So the charging handle does swivel from left to right, and it's actually very easy to rack back too. So one thing I noticed with this compared to some of the other bullpups, like the Steyr AUG or maybe the Tavor, the recoil spring on this thing was really easy to pull and charge this gun back. Almost felt like I wasn't doing it right the first time, but really easy to charge the weapon. This is also does not reciprocate, so it stays right there. Again, if you're running a C-clamp or you have anything in there, it's not going to go back and forth and swivel back and forth, makes it completely ambidextrous. Now the fire control kind of area here. So these do take AR style grips. So depending on grip angle or just texture, things like that, there's plenty of options out there. Really easy to change this grip. That is one thing I like. The angle on this one feels a little vertical. So whether you like that or not, it's definitely more vertical than a standard like A2 grip. The one thing I would say is you probably want that a little bit just to kind of get clearance for the magazine here, but didn't really dislike it at all. I do like some of those Magpul like rubber grips, so I'll probably throw one of those on there. The safety, I know this is one of those things where people comment on quite a bit. It is a little funky. It's you still pull push kind of down to fire, but it's almost like you're reaching up at like a 1 o'clock position to pull it down. So almost have to break the grip a little bit to get the gun off of safe. But again, completely ambidextrous. The safety is actually really easy to use too, so it's not like you really have to break that thing in or manhandle it down. But the switch itself is just a little weird. I'm sure there's going to be plenty of aftermarket options out there too down the road that make change those up to make those a little bit more ergonomic and friendly. Now the trigger. So bullpups are inherently just known to have bad triggers. The reason why is you have the trigger up here, but all your your fire control group actually is back here. So the hammer, everything is working back here. So there's this linkage that goes from the trigger up here all the way back to the hammer and everything else in the back of the gun. So there's just a lot of movement and a lot of pull and a lot of things you're doing. The trigger isn't necessarily heavy, but it is very long. There's also a lot of take up in it too. So the first time you get on it, you're pulling it and it's almost like you have a full trigger pull, but no bang yet. And then finally, bang. The reset on it is quite nice though. So, once you get to that and you have a good feel where that reset is, you can actually get, quick shots on this. Pretty good. I think if you're doing slow, steady fire, if you're just holding the trigger, waiting for that reset and going, you're good. From a full length of pull though, it is quite long, but that's pretty typical of bullpups. It will be cool to see what comes down, the pipeline, see if there's anything to help remedy that, whether it's Geisley triggers, Timney, whatever. But trigger's not bad, it's not heavy, but it is long. So magazines, this does take, just a standard AR Stenag mags. During, the review and testing, we did run both polymer P mags, which this comes with. We also ran some metal mags in it as well. All of them were fine. We had a couple metal, those KCI, those Korean mags, real thick powder coat on them. Those were a little sticky. They didn't just free fall, but still fit in, popped out, no problem. Just had to pull them out. But mag release is kind of a thumb release in the back here. Pinch that in and you pull the magazine out. The bolt release is right behind it. So the manual of arms on this is kind of interesting. If you're not used to a bullpup, it's going to be just crazy for you anyway. If you are used to, AUGs or Tavors, things like that, I obviously understand having everything back here has its kind of pros and cons. So with a magazine kind of behind your grip like that, you can actually, hold the gun in a shooting position and keeping the gun in your shoulder and manipulate everything here as well. So you're able to not have to, you know, brake, you know, like a lot of ARs or rifles, you know, you're kind of armpitting the rifle to get the kind of the weight, you know, back to your body. Here you can keep it in your shoulder and kind of do everything real close to you. Now, you know, being that it's close to you, you have a little bit less room to operate, but it is kind of nice to not have to, again, break that weapon there too. All the weight's very much so just right here of the gun, so it's easy to hold it up. So with the Hellion here, you know, you thumb the mag release, you know, get rid of your old mag, put in your new mag. Now the bolt release is actually interesting. It is this little button here that you just pull. So it's not something that you think, you know, you put in a new mag, you hit you know, your bolt release and you go back to work. It is something you put in the new mag, and it takes a lot of pressure too. Even with the loaded mag, you're not just gonna thumb it backwards. You have to intentionally take your your offhand trigger finger and pull that thing back. So as you know, you're working through it and practicing with the firearm, it takes a little bit of practice. I don't think it's that slow. Is it the fastest thing out there? No. Can it be done smooth and quickly? Absolutely. And I think after just a few reloads, we had no issue really trying to, you know, finding how that thing worked well. So throwing in the new mag, you know, just really running your hand back against that, pulling that back, and then you're back into it. Again, you're saving some movement by not having to bring the gun down. So it's kind of a pro and con. It's just a way to train around it and understand how that gun works. The other thing about the Hellion is, unlike pretty much all bullpups out there, they don't have adjustable length of pull. So length of pull is pretty much the end of the buttstock to the trigger face. So that is on all bullpups pretty much finite. It is what it is. So if you have lurch arms, you know, you're gonna be really crowded on that gun. So the Hellion actually gives that end user a little bit of option with a spring-loaded kind of a little buttstock here. So you can gain a couple extra inches of length of pull there, and it doesn't change the classification of this at all. So it is nice, you know, can fit more users that way. The cheek rest here is also adjustable as well too, if you want to raise it. This, we just left it in the low position, and I'll kind of tell you how that works with the optics here in a minute, but kind of left it as it is. On the back side of this too, you have a couple more swing spots here. You have some QD points and you have swivel spots back here as well. So getting back into the kind of the ambidextrous and just user friendliness of this firearm, you know, I'm a right-handed shooter, so this came, you know, out of the box set up for a right-handed shooter. Now we're not gonna, you know, take the gun apart and show you how to, you know, swap the bolt and all that stuff, but the nice thing is you just buy once, cry once. So whether you're a lefty or a righty, you can buy this gun and you won't need to buy any extra parts if you want to swap it from a right-handed shooter to a left-handed shooter. So I know there's guns like the Tavor. You buy that, now you need to get a left-handed bolt and some different things if you want to swap it over. So not quite as easily, you know, changeable as advertised. This, you don't have to do that. So the bolt, you can actually change the, you know, the bolt face, the timing of it. Really easy to do, to switch it to ejecting from the right-hand side to the left-hand side. And then there's also a pin that covers the dust cover that you just swap over to where instead of ejecting and on the right-hand side, now the left-hand dust cover will open up and eject on the left-hand side. I wanted to talk about the ejection with a suppressor. So when you're shooting a bullpup, all the action is right here next to your face. So, you know, it is going out, you know, as a right-handed shooter, the rounds are coming out of my cheek this side here. So, you know, because all that's working in this area. So when you add a suppressor, you know, you get more back pressure, you get more gases coming through, things like that. Traditionally, when you're running a suppressor on a bullpup, you get a lot of extra gas in your face. You get black marks, you know, coming from the other side of the gun, escaping from the gun and getting in your face. I didn't really notice that with this. And I don't know if it's because it's, you know, more of a sealed system. On the top of the gun, there isn't really any cracks or anything like that where the gas would come out. You know, anything that would come out would be from the left side ejection port here. Doing like a full mag dump, I didn't really feel gassy at all. And that was on the suppressor setting. Of course there's gas, you're gonna get that no matter what with the can, but it wasn't like overwhelming, you know, eye stinging. You know, if you've really been gassed in the face before, you'll know what I'm talking about. I just didn't get that with this. So whether it's just sealed up tight or there just isn't a whole lot of extra gas getting kind of purged back into the system here, it is nice to shoot suppressed. So that's definitely a big thumbs up, because adding a suppressor to this thing is a no-brainer because these are already so short, but having a full-length barrel and an 8-inch can, it's still a very subcompact package. The other thing to talk about is the kind of the rail height. Now, I know we talked about full-length Picatinny rail, things like that, good iron sights on it. What I like is the the height over bore. So when you start talking again of other bullpups, you'll see a lot of them will come with either really high risers already built into them, whether it's some type of carry handle, or like the AUG had their own optic as well that was really high. Bullpups need some type of riser if you want to get a good kind of cheek weld, or if you want to get anything similar to what you're used to with like your AR platform. With this, you didn't really have to worry about that. So we have a Accufire Atro 8. This is a 1:8 power. Really cool optic, easy to use reticle, clear glass. So we had this thrown on there and it was taken off of a Mark 18 build, so an AR platform, and same height and everything as far as the mount goes, and had no problem getting it dialed in and having a good cheek weld on this thing. So there are some bullpups where you really have to chase that with different heights and things like that. Nice thing is pretty much your off-the-shelf AR optics, mounts and risers are gonna fit the bill for the Hellion. So overall, I think I'm really excited that this came here in the United States. I think this will kind of spark a little bit, of a resurgence into some of the lust for bullpups. They're really cool. They definitely have, their benefits and their shortcomings, and it's really about training around those things. So whether if you're looking at the Hellion or maybe some other type of bullpup, you do get a lot of bang in a small package. Some things to consider is, again, you have a full 16-inch length barrel, so you're getting full powered 5.56 rounds out of there, which are going to help you with velocity, distance, and of course power. So that's a really big selling point for a bullpup. Obviously the compactness to where maneuverability. The nice thing is with these two, they don't take proprietary mags, so any of your AR mags are going to fit it just fine. This thing will eat up any pretty much any 223 5.56 ammo as well. Easy to use, easy to service. It's fairly lightweight. It is 8 pounds. It doesn't feel that heavy at all. It feels like it's about 6.5 pounds, but all the weight again is like right here, so it's really close to the body. It's not far out there. So again, even with a can, it's not like you're really muscling that thing up. It's just really easy to control. You can walk around with this thing all day and not have a problem. Overall, I like the look of it. I like the shape of it. It feels good in the hands. It's very narrow, so it just feels like easy to wield. It doesn't feel like it would want to get caught on a whole bunch of gear and things like that. There's nothing sticking out either, like charging handles or side chargers or anything like that. So I think there's a lot of good thought that went into this. I could see why, the HS2 or the VHS2 did so well in so many countries' military trials. They got beat out by some other brands like HKs, things like that, actually due to price. So a lot of countries put real eyes on these and they did really well in the trials. They just lost out for one reason or another. So it is cool that civilians, we get a chance to get our hands on them, and I think this should do really well in the States. And I'm looking to see some more things come down the pipeline, whether it's from HS products and Springfield and other brands. Hopefully this is going to open up those gates a little bit more into some more common use. Now we will have one of these available as a demo at the range here, so please feel free to come down and check it out. We have over 200 guns in our demo fleet too, so we got tons of things to check out. We also have over 200 machine guns to check out too, so make sure you hit us up at texasgunexperience.com, and we'll see you guys on the range.